Save this website to your home screen before you watch this video for easier access. So the number one thing that a lot of college basketball players make a mistake of doing is they do things for no reason, and they do that often. And that's probably going to be the theme of this video. I have no idea, but that's just my guess. I probably said it in the intro, duh. But like, I'll show you what I mean right here, right? So right off the bat, game just started, right? Watch what 13 does. He gets the ball and he just starts dribbling for absolutely no reason or purpose, right? This is the number one mistake that every young basketball player makes. Like, why are you dribbling? What is the purpose of your action? And then they swing it, right? And these dudes in the corner are just doing nothing. 24 gets it. He's not a threat. Like this right here, that space, that's a shot for somebody in the pros. A professional basketball player is shooting this. Watch this. Right there, bam. That dude went under a fake, even though it's a fake screen. He goes under, this is a shot. But the person with the ball, he's not even looking as if he wants to shoot the ball or as if he's a threat. And the thing you got to understand about high level basketball players, everything they do is an attack. That doesn't mean force, but when they touch the ball, it's an attack in some way. When they cut, it's an attack in some way. Like, they don't just do things for no reason. And so if you really want to play at a high level, you have to get it in your mind that everything is a threat. It doesn't matter what the action is. This right here, that's a threat to shoot it. This dude closed out 3 feet away. Tell me an NBA player that's not shooting that. An NBA wing that's like the decent shooter, like Grayson Allen or something. I'm just thinking that because he's on the Suns. But like somebody like him, that's a jump shot, right? And he's not even a superstar player. So you got to get in your mind, like, every time you touch the ball, some sort of threat, whether a jump shot or driving downhill or creating and drawing two people, like that has to be your initial thoughts when you have the ball. And you have to look for those opportunities to do so. So on this play right here, when they kick it out, one thing you have to be aware of is what your teammate is going to do, right? So DJ drives and he gets stuck right here, so he makes a kick out. Now on this kick out, he should be reading his teammate's intentions. If his teammate intends to go left, he should exit on this side. If his teammate intends to go this way, he should exit on this side. And this is why awareness is so important. There's so many conversations I've had in the last like week or so with different people and different students. It's like, if you are not aware at pretty much all times, it's going to hurt your game. It's going to hurt your team's game. And so you have to figure out like what to do based on what your teammates are doing, based on the defensive positioning, based on where the ball is, based on, what space is available. Like, those four things are the most important things when it comes to awareness. And so you have to figure out how all those things are related in every single moment. And so if you look right here, his teammate wanted to go left, or his left, right? And then DJ Wagner exits out on that side. And so that messed up the offense. Now in this play, when you're getting rebounds, you cannot do things frivolously. And I think that's the theme that I'm saying, right? Now look at this rebound. He just assumes that no one's going to be around, that he could just catch it, turn, whatever. You have to assume or be aware enough to know that somebody's probably going to crash right behind you. And so you have to prepare yourself in how you catch it and how you land and how you position, right? So right here, instead of catching and turning at the same time, you got to catch and square up later. So he should have landed with his back to the defense, secure the rebound, then square up or feel out, wherever the pressure is coming from. But he turns, and now the defense gets a tip on it. And luckily, he ended up getting the ball back. But just don't assume that, you're just going to be able to do things freely without having to be aware or use technique. So this is a situation to where I think this is just the habits of young players today, right? When they touch the ball, they immediately want to get into dribble mode. And that's going to hurt your chances to attack efficiently and get easy buckets. So he caught it right here, and he didn't really read the situation out. He just caught it and was like, okay, I'm going to go. And like, now you went into nothingness. Because watch, his teammates position, this DJ Wagner again, being unaware of his spacing and what his teammates are trying to do. So his teammate catches it and he rips right. What's DJ Wagner do? Get in the way, right? So you got to have awareness at all times of what your teammates are trying to do and where they're trying to go. This is the second time he's done this in a minute and a half, right? These are the type of things that lower a player's draft stock and their ability to play on the next level. And a lot of people don't think of these things. They're just like, oh, he's cold. He can get a bucket. number one player, yada yada. And then you see a lot of number one players that get into the league and they're coming off the bench or they're out in 2 years or whatever. And like it's a mystery to most people, but to anybody that knows basketball, they know why. And it's because of things like this. And this is another example, right? Right after that, the next player catches it. What puts the ball on the floor immediately. Like when it comes to dribbling is like break glass emergency. Like if you can play the entire game without dribbling, you're really good at basketball. I don't think a lot of people understand that. The less dribbles you take, like the better you are, unless you're just bad at dribbling. But like a person that has a high amount of skill, like Kevin Durant or Steph Curry or Luka or any of those guys, like the less dribbles they take to do what they're supposed to do, the better they actually are. And so you got to think of like, how can I do what I need to do in the least amount of dribbles with the least amount of wasted movement as efficiently as possible that can produce things that are great for my team. Like that's your goal when it comes to mastering basketball. And so right here catches it. Usually you just want to square up and observe the situation, but he's dribble, gets into his cone work and shoots an unsustainable shot, right? And I'm never mad at one-on-one shots like these. I probably shot a few of these, but I don't live my life on these, right? And he might not, but I'm just saying, like, these shots are unsustainable. These can't be your opening jump shots to start the game. It's 5-0. You're not even 2 minutes in, and this is one of the shots that you've decided to shoot. That's not a way to start a basketball game if you're trying to catch rhythm, if you're trying to score points, if you're trying to win the game. Like, that's like you've hit 3, 4 in a row, and then it's like, okay, I can try something because I'm on fire. But you don't want to start that off thinking, okay, I'm going to get off immediately and I'm going to try this. Like, that's not the best way to start a basketball game. So right here on the first attack of the possession, right? When you're attacking, I always say you got to straighten out eventually. The first dribble not always has to be straight. It's best if you can. But in this situation, right, he rips through and he goes this way. He's starting to head this way. On that second dribble, you got to start going this way. Like that's so important when attacking. And it's not just for scoring, but it causes the defense to react and do something. The fact that he's not getting here means that this top guy can pop out and deny. He can stay out and he doesn't have to help over and cover. So then if he would have helped, he would have kicked it out. He would have helped over. He would have swung it, wide open shot. But instead, this person's angle messed up the entire flow of what was supposed to happen. And so by the time you take that second dribble, it needs to be headed towards the rim unless, but there's not even really an unless. Like it's just is what it is. You got to try to straighten that out to cause help or to cause a basket. And that's how you'll get efficient when it comes to your attacks, right? But he doesn't, and then he ends up making the kick out, which is fine. Secondly, the awareness, like this is always an awareness game. Like basketball is an awareness game. Just remember I'm saying that. Basketball is an awareness game. Right here, he's driving left. What you have to be aware of is your teammate spacing, the defense spacing, or positioning, I should say, and where the space is, right? So you have the ball, you're trying to go left, you got to think, okay, my teammate's too close. What does that mean? His defender's probably too close. What does that mean? This space is not as open as it looks. So what should happen is one, he should have been patient for him to move over, or he should have moved over faster. Like that, those two things kind of work together because now he gets in here, the pass gets tipped, and it's a turnover, all because it's just lack of awareness. And so he should have read it beforehand, right? And it's thinking ahead. Like that's the game you're trying to play is thinking ahead. So I'll show you on this kick here. He should recognize, okay, my teammate is about to attack. Like no question about it. You can see it in his demeanor and his body posture. I got to get over here as fast as I possibly can. Why? It'll drag his defender over here, which opens up this spacing that he wanted, right? And so the awareness of that is important for the success of your team. And he has to be aware enough to know, like, okay, my teammate's not moving. I can't go in there. Like, that space is not available for me. So here, instead of initiating the contact and then making the pass, he should have just passed it sooner or stopped himself. So he should have probably right here stopped himself and made the pass, but he went in like a step too far. And then you have to anticipate the reach, right? The secondary defender, they're usually having their hand active. So if you're trying to make this pass, you got to think where is his hand going to be? His hand is most likely not going to go straight down to the ground. It's not going to go straight up. 9 times out of 10, their hands go straight out when you're trying to make a pass unless it's over their head. So his arm goes straight out, his pass goes directly into the path and makes the deflection. Now it's a steal. So you have to know, like, you have to be aware of the intentions of everybody and what's going to happen if you do certain things. Like, that's what's going to put you ahead for you to make the right plays. When you're attacking, you have to be aware of reach zones. Like, I talk about this every so often, but it matters. Like, it's that important. When you're driving right here, what you have to know before you start getting into the lane. This guy, probably going to dig. Another guy, probably going to help or dig. So knowing that when you get to this point, out of the corner of your eye, you can see him driving or see him sliding in. You got to think, where is he going to reach? Where do most people reach when they are the help defender? To the middle of your body somewhere, most likely, right? So you got to know when you pick the ball up, you can't just have the ball in the middle thinking you're going to get through scot-free. Everybody knows to reach in the middle. And so if you're going to have it in the middle, you have to extend your arms out. And so when they swipe down, they hit your arms, or you have to bring the ball high through traffic. Like that's, or bring the ball low too. That's part of extending your arms out is low pickup. But you can't just go through the middle like thinking you can go in regular and nothing's going to happen to you. Like that's what defenders do when they're helping over, especially one pass away. Like if they're one pass away and you're driving right next to them, 9 times out of 10, this reach is about to happen. And so build your habits to avoid it so you don't even have to think about it. It's like, okay, when I get to this area, I know there's a reach going to happen. So once you start to build your habits of, okay, every time I drive, I either pick it up low or pick it up high or like cradle it super hard, it's going to be automatic when you do it and you're not going to have to think twice and you can be more aware of the secondary actions that are going on, right? But again, freshmen going in there thinking I can go through untouched, gets the swipe, and they're going the other way. This is another situational awareness, right, of what you need to be doing when certain things happen. And so my rule of thumb is if action is going towards you, which means if the ball handler is going to the left and you're on this left side of the court, you got to get out of the way. If it's going away from you and you're on that side of the court, you got to come up and find some type of open space that's also not in the way, but you can get a little bit closer to the action if it starts to move away from you. So DJ Wagner right here makes another awareness mistake. Let's look at it. So here he is moving down, fake one. Now this would have been the right spacing if he would have got it right because he's out of the way. If he comes down the middle, he scoots over. This guy has to make a decision. But second one happens, and what's he do? He gets in the way. So he's driving left and he starts scooting over. What does that do? That brings this guy over into this gap. He wanted to attack that space, but now he can't because DJ Wagner did not scoot over. And so what should have happened this entire play, he hits it here. He doesn't get it. Once he doesn't get it, he has to get as close to the baseline as he can so then he can see what's about to happen. And so once he's here and he noticed that drive's happening, he shouldn't think in his mind, okay, DJ Wagner's probably going to scoot over right here, so I should just go short corner, right? That's what he did. But he kind of almost went to the real corner. But he should have been down here. That opens up space for him to operate. And so you just got to know where to be. And that's why he brings it out because he has no space. And so knowing where to be and when and why to be there is going to help you. And then another one of these cone drill shots. Like you can't base your career off of those. Not sustainable. One trick you can use on a fast break to get closer to the basket and create opportunities is use your teammates as accidental screens. And so Rob Dillingham gets the ball right, and his teammates running right here. He knows that this is going to be their same spacing when they get down there, right? And so he's like, this is an automatic pick and roll type spacing. And so he's going to use that to an advantage and make it just like a rub screen. Once this opportunity happens and the offensive player runs right next to the person that's picking him up, he runs right off the back of his teammate. So then he can't slide over. And so he's just out of the play completely. Now he's completely in front and he can make things happen. And so look for those opportunities, especially if you're the point guard and you're running down the court with the ball. Like just look for different opportunities to use your teammates as screens and kind of set it up on your own. And just know, like, once your teammate gets in position next to the person that's guarding you, just go right off his back, and I promise you, it's going to open up space. Look at that. Right off of him, and then he just dimes it to the big guy, and one. Here's the top angle. Look, you see it? This is basically like he set a screen, but he didn't do that on purpose. That's the IQ of the point guard. So he set that up just by knowing his teammate's going to be right here. I'm just going to run my guy right off him, and he's going to allow himself to get into space. Once he gets into space, he just does whatever he wants. So the one thing I like about Rob already, he has a lot of the qualities that a lot of great point guards have. He pushes the ball immediately. Like if you are a point guard, you need to be on like 80% speed when you touch the ball in the backcourt, unless you're getting pressed, obviously. Like, but if you can just have the time to run, you got to make the defense react. And so he gets the ball and he's immediately down court and he's already making the defense make decisions. Because sometimes if you run fast enough, opportunities open up. The help's not ready. You can beat this guy, go untouched, make this guy like and just create this without having to run offense. He knows that, and so he's gonna start in a fast pace every time he touches the ball to create easier and earlier opportunities. Now I don't necessarily like the shot, but just the idea of what he's doing makes it work, right? So then right here, he's a straight line player. Like you got to be a straight line player to be effective. So right here on the pump fake, he doesn't go all round off. Like he's an immediate threat. He's pure downhill, making things happen. In his mind, he's like, here comes the help. Easy pass, already gone. As soon as he made that move over to help, ball is already out of his hands. This guy's ready. Right into a little push shot, right? He missed it, but just look at the opportunities that Rob's causing just by entering the game. He's coming off fast pace. This is back to back plays, right? He's making things happen. So, and he's a threat at every second, catches it. Threat ready, right? This is why he's as good as he is. Threat ready. Doesn't take the shot, downhill. Threat ready. Draws defense, makes the immediate right decision. That's how you got to play if you want to be an elite point guard. Now, right after this is just lack of awareness by the person that got the rebound. Like, for what? How do you not know that someone is right next to you when you get this? That's the first thing you got to think about when you get rebounds is who is around you. What is your surroundings like? Are people trying to press? Are people trying to strip the ball? Are your teammates running? Is somebody open up the court? Like all of that has to enter your mind the second you land, or even before you get the rebound. You should kind of know that kind of stuff, right? A lot of great point guards in the league, like Jason Kidd was really good at that. Steve Nash was good at that. As soon as they got the ball, his eyes are up. Like he did the first part right, but you also have to observe your surroundings and just know that when you're running up the court, like right here, there's no reason you shouldn't know there's a defensive player right here. So your dribble should not be on his side. And now it gets tipped out. It should be in your left hand if you're really gonna run, or he should have just made the pass right here immediately to make him hurry up and cover, right? But now the ball gets tipped, and again, defensively, another moment of unawareness. Now you're starting to see the theme of like the difference between pros and young players. When you're running down court, you always got to look back, offensively or defensively. You got to be aware that they're running. You can't just assume that, all right, they're about to come down, set it up. It's like everybody's running full speed. What do I need to be aware of? Like, is a pass about to happen? What could happen? So you don't want to take your eyes off of the ball when you're running down because things are happening. So the tip's coming. He has no idea. Damn near hits him in the leg. He could have stole it, right? Now he catches it, and for some reason he's veering down the middle when he has a runner already, right? He has a runner on this side, so he should occupy that side. 1, 2, 3, verse 2. Make them guard here. Make him decide between the runner down the middle or this dude coming on the other side, right? But he doesn't. He tries to catch it going too fast in the traffic, loses the ball, turnover. Wide open layup. Communication is by far the most important thing on transition defense. It's not even close. Because right here, there's no reason for this to happen. But I'm going to show you whose fault it was, right? He just walked into a wide open jump shot. And before I get into that, Rob Dillingham, again, just makes the perfect basketball play. Like, when people hesitate to just do the right thing, that's why their game drops. They want to keep the ball. They want to try to get the bucket. They want to try to do everything perfect. It's like occupy the defense, pass to the open man. It's basically it's that simple. He occupied this guy. He's open. He just swung it. Not gonna swing it. Seems like the right thing to do. But let's get into the transition defense. What happens right here when you're the first person back? 9 times out of 10, it's your job to communicate. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll show you the first person. This guy, right? And so he should be looking and communicating everything that's happening. And so when he gets here, he should notice, okay, these two got one, right? Which means the trailer's probably uncovered. Now, in his mind, he's thinking that this dude knows the trailer's on the way, so he's just gonna stop and turn around, right? But so now it doesn't become his fault because he assumed that they would have done the right thing, which he passes off responsibility to this guy. The people that are guarding the one have to be aware. So he's the only one that knows that he's guarding this man. He doesn't know that he's not guarding him. He's just running on the court looking at the ref. I have no idea what he's looking at. But it's his job now to tell him to watch trailer because he's got runner. Right. So if you're running down court and you have to know what to say. Like a lot of coaches just like talk, man, talk on defense. If you don't know what to say, you're not gonna talk. Right. And so what you have to say is, for one, you got to say, if you're here, you got to say, I'm in help, right? You got to yell, let everybody know I'm in help, right? I got 1 point, whatever. 25, you got to say, I got 23, I got runner, pick up trailer, right? You got to tell him, pick up trailer. Over here, I got ball. It's all about communication. You have to know what to say, right? So right here, he's like, I got trailer, and you should yell his name. Yo, whatever your name is, get up. You got trailer, get trailer, get trailer. Say it 3 times. That's when it registers in the brain. You got to say it 3 times, right? So right here, he's just looking around, and then the shot goes up, and now his arms are in there. Why are your arms in there? I'm assuming you didn't say nothing, because if you say something, he would respond and hear you, and then make the correct action. And so that's my assumption. Obviously, looking on film, I can't hear him, but it's all confusion because he thinks that he has post runner, right? But he's like, no, I got it. But he doesn't tell him. So now they think they're both guarding this man. He just ran down there frivolously, assuming he didn't even look until the last second. By the time he turned around, he's about to touch the ball, right? And so that's his fault because he was the first one to see it. If you're the first one to see it, that's your responsibility to communicate what you've seen that your teammate has not seen. So he doesn't do that. Now his arms are in there, like, what's going on? Now they're pointing at each other, like, what the hell? Wide open bucket. This is a possession of just knowing how to execute the thing that you're trying to get accomplished. So right here, again, never do anything frivolously. I do not care. Like, I hate frivolous action. I hate when they run people in circles and do 4 handoffs before pick and roll. All that stuff is meaningless. Like, get that out of basketball. Pick and rolls right here. For one, you don't want to start an attack mode with the ball above your head. You got to figure out how to get low in a rip through position. So be a threat this way, make him back up, and now you can get low into a triple threat. So now the screen's coming, he goes out instead of off the shoulder. But you got to set it up by creating your own space. So step into him or be a threat this way to move him over. Then when you use the screen, instead of going out, you can go in, right? You never want to take any actions that take you out this way, right? And so he comes off the screen, he's perfectly guarded, and he has to swing it. Now, right here, the front, right, on the pass, you want to float it. You never, because he already has the position, so he's basically just going to box him out. No matter how long the ball is in the air, he has that position in order to catch it and just turn, right? And so his pass is just a bullet, and he releases his position way too early. And so you want to release your position as you catch it. You don't want to do it like too early, right? So as that ball's in the air, you got to hold him, hold him, hold him. Once it gets over here, then you can jump and get it. And so that's just, it's on both of them. It was a bad pass, but you got to read the pass as it's happening before you release your position so you know where to go. And so he's sliding, thinking he's just going to catch it right in his hand, and he's not ready enough to just jump and get it. So now it's a turnover. So now right here, right, here's a couple things I'm going to talk about in this. And like, think this is only first 7 minutes of the game. Like, there's a lot of information here. So his pass is not a bad idea. I don't think this is a bad idea because he's thinking, look, positioning, positioning. He's like, okay, box him out of the free throw, I'll throw it over his head, easy layup, right? But that does not happen because he's not aware enough to know that that's what he should have done. So now instead of him stopping right here and getting position, he's 2 feet in and the ball's already in the air. He thought that that was going to be there, right? But also the pass does not have enough air on it, just like his last one, throwing a direct bullet, right? And so he's thinking with his IQ and then putting it into his body, thinking that he's going to have the same IQ play, which in reality they should. But I used to do the same shit when I was in high school. When I was a sophomore, I would throw it to anybody that was running on the break. Like if I saw you were open, you were probably going to get a pass from me, and it was probably going to be a turnover because it was to my center. And so like just understand that everybody doesn't think like you, especially if you're smarter than your teammates, and think about what their IQ is and incorporate that into your decision making. Don't think with your IQ on their behalf. Think about what do they know and what do they normally do in this situation. Should I make my decision based on my thoughts, or should I make my decision based on their thoughts? Probably the latter, right? But this is not a bad decision. Like, he should have boxed him out. That should have been easy. So all you centers know, you should not be up here in an end zone jump ball. You should be a box out and a basket catch over the top for a layup, right? So after that, turnover. Now, the best thing ever is the immediate good decision. A lot of young players do not make the best decision right away. He gets the outlet. He doesn't even put it on the ground, right? A lot of players want to dribble up, occupy, all this bullshit. Just give it up. Bam, gives it up. One dribble, give it up. That's the best basketball play that you can make. So these two are some of the smartest players that they have, and it's because they do not hesitate to make the right decision. Now, where he messes up, I got to show you the next angle where he messes up. So the way this gets stolen is because he's not reading what the defense is doing. The defense is not trying to cut him off, right? So he takes this right here. By this point, you got to know, okay, he's not cutting me off because I already have him on a step. And so what's the last resort? A reach. He's either going to try to block over the top or he's going to reach on one of the sides. And so for you, you got to know ball placement. You cannot place it on the side. For what reason would the ball go out here if you're going straight up? It should go straight up into a dunk. There should be no reason that this gets caught, right? But it's just bad ball placement based on awareness of what the defense is about to do. And so if you got the step on a defender, you got to understand, especially if you have the size, he's not going to go play the block game up top, meet you at the rim, none of that, or cut you off. He's too small. He's like, okay, I'm just going to let him have it and wait for him to expose the ball and get the strip, right? So there's no reason that the ball should have been on this side. It should have just been going straight towards the rim because you already beat him on a step. But just be that small fundamental, gets the ball stripped. Now it's out on him. So here's another situation where you just got to understand what's going on, right? And so the first thing always is like, I feel like DJ Wagner's kind of erratic. You know, I think he's super athletic and he probably beat a lot of people with like one quick move and speed and like things like that. But at the college level, you can't do anything. Like, you can't really get a lot of points without putting some sort of IQ to it. Like high school, you can get away with it sometimes. Like, you don't have to be that much more aware than everybody else. Because at the high school level, there's not that many aware players. They're just out there doing, a bunch of random stuff. So if you have a little bit of awareness, like, you're gonna beat most people, especially like the skill level that he has, right? And so you got to think right here. There's no reason to try to attack that way because this man now has a mismatch and he's just in the way in general. So, like, for him to start off his attack going full speed to the right, like, I know he was probably going to fake it, but I don't know what his idea was going to be at this point. And so sometimes you just got to relax and let the game open up. And so on this point, he catches it on a quick swing and he didn't recognize the mismatch at first. So right here, he should have already recognized, okay, my big has a guard on him. I'm gonna get the ball, throw it in. Like, that's just automatic IQ, right? But he gets it, tries to make a quick rip through, and you can't do that when the post player is right here. It's different if he stayed up here and let you take the big man, but that's just not, like, you just got to think a little bit smarter, right? And so once this happens, he starts to see the mismatch, but he messes up by picking up his dribble. And so when you're trying to get it into the post, you got to be patient enough for him to get the right position and put yourself in a place to where you can make a good angle pass. And so look, right here, when he back dribbles, in this point, he should not have picked it up. Either throw it immediately or don't pick it up, right? And so now he ends up in this, which he should have just let the ball go. Like, throw that pass. No, throw that pass. Throw that pass, right? I don't know what the hesitation was. But if you're not going to throw that pass, dribble yourself over here, let him establish position and get it in, right? Now, these two, they're super spaced out, and this probably could have been a face cut at this point or something like that. But it's just like lack of situational awareness because now he has to get out of position in order to get this pass because there's no one open up here. There's no cutters. He's the only one. And so now he catches it, and instead of posting up down here, he's now catching it right here with the mismatch, which is to the defender's advantage. So now he's taking a jump shot and the team's going the other way. So I'm going to talk spacing on this possession and just knowing where to be and why and when. Like, that's so important. It's so important. So right here, Dillingham, downhill drive, right? Just makes a good kick out. So now they're decent spacing, right? Now when he attacks, he does the right thing, fills out. He does the right thing, spots up. He does the wrong thing and scoots up, right? If the action is going towards you, you got to space out or cut to an open spot, which would have been a back door right here. You got to stay away from it. Him moving up moves everything up into the space of the action. So DJ Wagner is always moving wrong off the ball, never fails, right? Now, I'll show you the second part. Right here, now he did the right spacing, like he scooted away because the action was going towards him, so he started to scoot this way. Now you got to think, when he gets here, what's his most likely action? Pass. You have to know that. You have to know that. There's not a lot of options outside of passing to him right here. So when he gets his ball, what should you be doing already? In his mind, he should be scooting over here to the corner. He should have already made this back door, or just he should be on this baseline somewhere on that drive. Whenever somebody drives towards the middle, baseline action is usually the best. Now, when he's about to make this cut, there's no reason for him to start spacing to where his teammates already spaced. Like he already occupied this area, whether or not he's behind the three, that doesn't matter. This is his lane, this is his area. So you don't want to occupy that. Kick out happens. He should have saw that coming and just stayed over here, because now he catches it, and look, the spacing is ruined by the two teammates. On the catch, there's a dig right here. He doesn't have many options. He's taking up space right here, doesn't have many options. If he's down here, his defender's right there, which opens up this lane. If he's over here, that dig doesn't happen. Now he can be a bit more patient and read this option, right? But now he has to get out of the way. Now what's he do? Action's coming towards him. He just completely in the way. Look, bringing your defender up. Why? Bad spacing. So let's go over that part again so you can see that. Because there's another little part after this. Right here, when you get the ball, think about it. If he would have spaced over like he was supposed to, what would have happened? He would have spaced down like he's supposed to, which he should be there anyway as this drive happens. So once he sees the dribble start to go this way, he should know, space out. Action goes towards you, space out. That's the rule, right? For you, action goes towards you, space out, down there. So it should have been guy here, guy here, guy here, guy here. He should have had this whole area to himself to operate and create something. But now he dribbles over, they both go towards him and they ruin the space. Now they're stuck, right? Then they get it out here. And this is the worst thing that happens in basketball, is when people space way up here and try to get the ball. That's when you know you already just ruined the offense. And so now they're going, resetting their offense, trying to get it downhill. And then another cone work shot, not sustainable. Now, this next possession is a perfect example of why I do not like frivolous offensive action. Action that leads nowhere. Teams got to stop doing this. And this is number one team in the country. This is a blue chip. I don't know if they're number one anymore, but like blue chip teams running meaningless action is the issue with college basketball, right? And that stuff's bleeding into the NBA. I see meaningless action in the NBA way more than I should, right? So right here, first meaningless action is this screen. Why set the screen if it's not going to be a threat? Right? That's the thing I do not understand. This should have two actions should not happen at the same time more times than not. It should be screen first. If that doesn't work, down screen second. Because now both those things are happening. Neither of them use the screen, right? These are the type of things that bug me when it comes to basketball, right? And so he doesn't use it. Watch this down screen right here. He does not use it. Why? If someone is trailing you, what should you do? Curl. But if action is happening and it's coming towards you, right? Technically, this is an action. If it's coming towards you, what should you do? Space out. That's why I don't like two interfering actions. It just does not make any sense at all, right? And so he runs through where that curl should have been. Now this, he comes off the screen. Again, meaningless action. And when I say meaningless, it's not that what they're trying to do is meaningless. It's that the players make it meaningless by doing it as non-threatening as possible. Like, why would you do anything that's non-threatening? This is the difference between high-level players and non, right? This should be a threat. He should be a threat to get downhill off of the screen, doing it for no reason. He's popping out on the screen and you're catching it way up here. No reason. Because look, Here's the other side of it. I'll show you the back side. This screen right here, what's the purpose of this if it's not going to be a threat? I'll show you how it ends up too, right? Swing it over here. Okay, meaningless action. Screen. Okay, you would think, okay, this is the threat. They must have been setting all that up for this. And not so much. Swings it, and you took 18 seconds off the shot clock for this. You could have done this in the first possession. These are the type of things I don't understand. Like, why do all that action and it leads to a one-on-one, you know, mythical foul where he didn't get touched? Like, you got lucky in that scenario, but I don't understand the purpose of meaningless action. So, if you are a player and your team runs meaningless action, make it meaningful to you. Everything is a threat. I do not care. Everything has to be a threat, or you end up with bad offense. Cone work shot. This is what I call cone work. Cone work shots are not sustainable. Laws of basketball. What is one of them that I've talked about? What do I always say? Stay away from the action if it's coming towards you. What does he do? This thing dude's about to hit a move and drive. What's happening? Look at this guy. Why? Why bring your guy in? What are you doing? I know I'm supposed to be teaching film, but I'm getting frustrated. Sounds like a TikTok right now. Rule of thumb: if the man with the ball is already on the move, do not set him a screen. If he's already moving, don't set him a screen. Unless it's so far away that he knows it's about to happen and he can set his guy up to run into it and his dribble is alive, don't come up and start setting a screen on somebody that's just doing a one-on-one move. Like, unless it's perfect, like, to come out of your way to set a ball screen, no reason for that, right? But look how congested it is just because they're not following the laws. Like, running towards the basketball for no reason. Setting a screen, no reason. Which he should have shot. If you're going into a one-on-one move, like, stop hesitating. People that want to score, do not hesitate, bro. Bam, bam. That's a shot for a real NBA type player. College players hesitate with those things and then they kick it out. So in this possession, this is a good example of off-ball movement and what you should do, because I talked a lot about what you shouldn't, but here's what you should do. Now, double team happens, right? Backside opens up, so he cuts down there. And just so you know, like a little rule of thumb, right? I'll show you something. On the post up, if you're the guy that's helping over, you don't want to help if they're posting up outside, like in the mid-range area. If it's in the block, then you should make that decision and double or help. But if it's way out here, don't worry about it. Now, when your man leaves to double, right, for number one, being behind him is best. Two, don't let offensive players stand behind you. Back up, right? But he goes over for the double team. He cuts into this open area because he doesn't drop fast enough, which he should recognize that, like, okay, there's a cutter right here. I got to get there, but it's too late by the time he saw it. All right. And so he got it right here, which he just should have went straight up. And Dillingham's smart enough to know that, okay, he's not shooting it. I got to get to where I can be seen. And so where is that? Over here. So he hurries up, scoots over, open jump shot. And that's how you got to move. That's the timing of your movement that you need to have on every possession in order to get open looks and make the defense help and collapse. Now here's another play just moving off the ball, right? Rob knows where to be. Watch him. Here he is right here. What you got to understand is once your teammate starts to attack, especially if it's baseline, perfect time to start moving because he's looking in. He has no idea where you're at. Move right behind him into some space where your teammate will be able to see you. So he attacks. Even right here, he's in sight, right? He could have stayed up there and been in sight, but anywhere over here is fine. Then when it goes closer to the baseline right there, now he's just there, shot ready, easy shot. And so move into a space to where your teammates will see you. Anticipate what they're doing. Like, he's like, okay, they're attacking. If they get stuck, I'm going to be over here ready for the ball. It's that simple. Now, here's an important lesson about throwing it into the post. You have to be aware of more than just the initial defender on the person you're trying to pass it to, right? You got to always think about the secondary defender and where he's trying to do. So right here, he's looking in because they've been throwing this pass over the top to him like all game. And now he's aware of this backside help coming over. Because once this is successful, then the defense has to adjust. So the defender starts to come over because he's like, okay, they've been throwing this pass. I got to help. Now he recognizes that and he's like, I'm not throwing this because here he comes, right? And so as an offensive player, you got to know this space is starting to open itself up because your man left. And so he creeps in there. He doesn't rush it. He doesn't just sprint in there because then he knows he's going to recover back to him. And now they stopped both those plays at the same time. And so he throws this pass now into the spot where he's going to be. And so he takes off right when that pass lets go because they're kind of on the same page. And he's like, all right, he's about to throw this pass. I'm just going to run into it. So he runs right into it and then gets a little easy layup. So this is just a couple fundamental things to know, right? When people shoot it and you're going to get the rebound, you cannot just assume you're going to get it. Like always box out no matter what, even if it's a little bit. And so right here, like he should be putting the arm on him at least, and then when the ball comes off the rim, he can release to go get it. But he just turns around and watches, and that's the mistake of a lot of people that are athletic. They don't like to box out, and so your job is to not jump too early, is to find somebody, at least put a forearm on them. You don't have to have your back to them, but just like the fundamentals, man. Can't take them for granted. Here's another little fundamental that you should know, right? When you're guarding the inbounder, right? DJ Wagner does a good job of it. Your job is to protect the middle because sometimes these screens, they don't communicate them right, they don't switch right. It's hard to guard a 2-on-2 screening play, especially from out of bounds. So your job guarding the ball is to not face away so they're throwing it off your back. It's to face them and read what kind of pass they're trying to throw so you can tip it, right? You never want to allow anything in the middle. Like I always tell whoever is on my team, if we're guarding the inbound, protect the middle if you're on the ball, like at all costs. I don't want any layups down here. So he's here. He could deflect a straight line pass to this guy, or he deflects this little bounce pass right here. And so he's ready for that. And that's just something you got to know. Now, when it comes to post defense, you got to do your work early, right? You can't be caught by surprise thinking nothing's going to happen. So here's the defender here in help position, and he has to realize what's going on. The pass is getting swung, which means when they catch it, they're probably going to start looking in the post position. So before they even pass it, you got to read the situation and get yourself in position. Because look, he catches it, he has the ball already, and he's still not ready to deny the post. He's still standing there as if he's in help. You don't want to stand like this when the ball is on the same side as you. You want to change your footing and have your body facing that way, right? So then you can have this foot over the top and then your hand in like 3/4 deny. But instead, he gets caught off guard. Now he's posted up and it's over. But you got to do that early. So when this point happens, all you have to do is read him, right? Right here. Soon as he starts looking that way, I'm about to start positioning myself to deny this inbound because I know that's what they're trying to do. They've been doing it all game, right? And so right here, by the time he would have caught it, I'm already in position. Like we're about to be fighting for position already. I'm not waiting for it to get there. So everything you do has to be anticipated. You can't wait until you're in the action and then get in position. By that time, it's too late. You're getting dunked on. This is what you call a rookie mistake right here. Fouling from 80 feet away for absolutely no reason. Most times when you're back here playing defense and you're pressing, do not take unnecessary risk. Like if you're not in a perfect position to get a steal or a strip or a rebound or whatever it is, don't hound the rebounder when they get it or when they throw the inbounds pass. Don't be fighting for the ball. Just play solid because now he catches a foul. He's in disbelief. Coach Cal's like, well, I got to sub you now because you're in foul trouble. And so things like this, you got to just understand and you got to learn when to take the L in a specific situation. So in this situation, and it's hard to see, right, because they didn't show the full play. If you're not in perfect position to win the ball outright, just let them have it, play solid defense, and live to fight another possession. Because what you got to understand is the wings and the baselines work together the best, right? So if somebody's driving like from the wing, then your best bet is to get here, right? But then you got to understand once they get to the baseline level, your best bet is to get here, right? So you got to understand spacing, especially if this dude's closing this spot off. You got to expect the ball at some point because he's stuck. When your teammate is stuck, you have to be available. So he's semi-available. He's kind of hiding behind the big. He should find a better spot to be so he can make this pass. He'll probably throw it over, but I don't know, behind the backboard, whatever. But him right here, when you're moving, you got to expect the ball. He's just cutting frivolously as if he's not going to get it. And then it just flies out of bounds. And so understand when your teammate is stuck, get somewhere where you can get the ball, but then be ready for it. Don't just run through lazy thinking nothing's going to happen. Like he's trying to throw you the ball. get into space faster and get ready. Kentucky is in the wrong in this situation as well. They started their action way too early. When the clock is running down, this is 10 seconds right here. You want to get the last shot. It should hit the rim, fly in the air, buzzer goes off. Like that's the scenario you want in this all the time, right? And I get it. Like he wanted to just drive down here, see what he can make happen. He's thinking this is going to be an easy pass. We still got it, 6 seconds left, whatever, right? But since you went too early, now Kansas has the ball with 4.5, 5 seconds left, right? And so that's enough for anything. So they come down, pick and pop. This dude gets a shot off, and that's the consequence of going too early. So you have to understand time and score is the most important thing in basketball. It's not even close. So once you understand that kind of stuff, you can avoid these type of mistakes. And instead of being up, 10, now they're up 7, and Kansas feels good about it. The reason I stress awareness so much and why it's so important because opportunities exist all the time that a lot of players just miss. And this is one right here that players just simply miss, right? And so when you get the ball here, you got to read the situation, what's going on, right? So the first slip cut didn't work, but you got to understand this guy is now overplaying. So what's open? He knows what's open. So he's like, okay, I'm going to backdoor right here. So right there, this is where the pass should have went, right? He threw this pass away too early. Now he's already looking over here, and now he's open because this guy's not on inside position. So even if you throw this pass, he's not going to get there simply because his positioning, right? So you got to recognize that as the passer and even look him off. Like fake like you're going to skip here, so then he has to kind of cheat out a little bit. And then you can throw this little pass right there, right? But he didn't even let the opportunity present itself. He just swung the ball. And so you have to watch the entire action play out before you get rid of the ball because sometimes at the very last second, at the end of the action, something's going to be open because even here, he's out of position. So he could have sealed and then they could have threw this little pass over the top, especially if he fills up, drags the defender out of the way. But that's just, awareness of the situation. And I think one of the bigger messages in this game as a whole, just in the first half, is to not take fundamentals for granted, right? Like a lot of people think it's frivolous or they're just like they don't care or they don't think it's as important as getting a bucket or like skill or all this other shit. But like, bro, in this situation, you can't take any pass for granted. This is a high level game. This is blue chip schools. You know what I'm saying? You can't just take these passes for granted. So when you're right here, for one, you don't want to pick up your dribble for absolutely no reason. So he's racing down court. When you get here, you can't just pick it up. Like you got to back dribble, retreat dribble, whatever. Then when you're making the pass, like it's going to be a contested pass if you pick it up in the wrong spot. So bounce passes work the best under contested. You think you're just going to throw this like frivolously? No, you got to be in a stance and low. And this foot, you got to like step out and then make your pass that's protected. You can't just throw it frivolously and then you get mad at your teammate like when you threw a shit pass. He's coming over, but you just threw some bullshit and his hand was up and now you're mad. Like, why are your hands up? That's on you. You can't pick it up and then start throwing bullshit. Everything has to be taken serious. Every fundamental has to be for real, or you get exposed. When you're a defender and the offensive player gets stuck in a position and you're off the ball, try to predict where they're going to pass it. That's the perfect time to get a steal. So, off ball defender right here, DJ Wagner, he realizes the ball handlers get stuck behind the backboard. And so in his mind, he's like, okay, he has to pass this. If he passes it my way, I'm ready for it. And that's what you got to do. You got to anticipate the situation. And so he's stuck. He don't have a choice but to pass. Where is he going to pass? Maybe this guy? I don't know. Maybe this guy? I don't know. But if your guy is up here, you got to be ready for it. If he tries to throw it in this general direction, you can just watch him. It's hard to look somebody off when you're in the air unless you're like an elite passer. But more times than not, you're not playing against that. And so they're just going to throw it the best they can to the first person that they see. And so he gets right here. And DJ Wagner's like, okay, he's passing it this way. I'm going to be defensively ready. He reads the pass. Easy steal. Now he's out. So the thing I like about Rob is everything is a threat to him. Like he's always in attack mode in his mind. And that doesn't mean he's a force, but he just like, if there's an opportunity, he's going to take it. Now, one thing he has to be careful of is shooting these threes where his foot's on the line. Like this is the second time he's done that this game where he's just had a foot in the line. And that's going to be important. He's never in a situation where he feels like he's not a threat. So right there, he shoots it. The big is too far back to him. That's I'm shooting that. But he makes a freshman mistake right here, right? He goes for an unnecessary steal, right? And if you're going to go for the steal, you got to plant yourself. And so if you miss it, you're not out of position. So he goes full out 100% for the steal. Now he's out of position and he's 10 feet behind, makes this guy have to stop the rim. Now he's wide open, right? And so you got to understand those type of gambles are just not worth it most of the time. Now he does something smart right here is he gets closer to the ball as his teammates getting the rebound so then he can hurry up and run, right? So he starts reading it from this shot. He starts reading it. Once it hits, he sees it going this way, so he starts tracking this way. He's over here, and then he realizes, okay, his teammate's about to get stuck or have to jump and save it. He immediately gets to a place to where his teammate can save the ball right to him and he can go. So like that's just paying attention to what's going on. And then here he is again, straight downhill trying to be a threat. Like he's going straight to the rim, make somebody stop him. Once he gets here, he's reading the situation. Looking for the kick out. Nope, not there. But then he sees this guy hoping that he cuts, and he does. Perfect read, even though he missed the layup. And so you can learn from him in his awareness because he just realized what's going on all the time. And he's always aggressive to try to create opportunity or take advantage of the defensive slip up or something like that. So when you're in help defense, one thing you got to understand is your position is based on what the offense is actually trying to do. Not only where the ball is, but you have to think what they're trying to do with it. And so right here, like, okay, yeah, sure, you want to get down there. But if you pay close enough attention, you can tell this dude has no intentions of scoring, has no intentions of throwing it into the post. And so as a help defender, you can be out towards your guy a little bit more. If you just read his body language, like he's not going anywhere, he's not doing anything. And so just off that alone, you don't need to be as far in help as you think you do, right? And so now he closes out way too late to somebody who's made a couple threes already, and it's just on that alone. He's just in help frivolously. Like you got to actually pay attention and realize what's going on and realize what the person with the ball is trying to do, not just where it is trying to do. When you're setting a ball screen, I do not care what anybody says. People have tried to argue me on this. Like reverse pivot into space. I don't understand the turn and run because right here, he can't see the ball. So why turn this way when you could just turn that way and you'll see it and then he can drop you a pass right there. Because as soon as he opens up, his right foot would be here. This would be his foot space. And the gap for the pass is right there. But he doesn't do that, right? And at the beginning, the ball handler doesn't use the screen well enough, right? He's too impatient. He starts going before he's set, right? And he's like not hustling out there, but at the same time, you can wait half a second to make this work. And so he's already attacking. Screen's not set, too much space to get through. Therefore, he doesn't get downhill like he should. And also the off ball movement over here, right? Rob moving towards the action. You can't do that. So if it's double sided and the pick and roll is coming your way, he has to move down to the corner and he has to move, or to the short corner, and he has to move down to the 3-point corner to open up this space for them to operate, right? Because now he can't beat this big because Rob comes up, brings his guy in the way. There's no space. He didn't even use the screen correctly. He didn't open up, so he couldn't even get this pass. And now he gets down here and he just makes the pass out, right? And you got to understand when you're kicking it out against pressure defense, you got to use bounce passes. Because, like I said, the reach, their arm is going to go straight out. No one's arm goes straight down in the deny. Always goes straight out. So bounce passes work best. It'll go right under, but they didn't do any of that. He gets the tip. They're off to the races. Foul. So here's a perfect example of what I mean when I say you should open up with the reverse pivot. This is exactly why. Even if the defense helps over, you're going to be in a box out pretty much position. And he was smart enough to protect and put the ball on his hip, which is good. And he gets the and one because it's just a bad reach. But when you're setting a pick, like the turn and run shit, I'm telling you, don't work. And so right there, he just opens up. There's a little pocket pass into the short roll, catches it, easy bucket. Kentucky could have had that exact same shot on the other side. They just didn't run it. And the more you watch this game, you can start to see how fundamentals just chip away the game. Like the more you mess up easy stuff, the worse it gets for you. And so Kentucky, like the lead is starting to shorten here because they're messing up on just fundamental mistakes. And that's how entire basketball games go. People think it's okay, you got outshot or you got out whatever. which, yes, that's part of it, but the other part of it is just you mess up so many fundamentals that it just messes with the game and your game plan, and all the things you do start to fail because you're doing basic things wrong, and it chips away, and then you lose. When you're running a pick and roll, you never run it towards the heavy side. They did this last time too, right? And so pick and roll right here, you don't want to run it that way because there's two people on that side. You want to run it this way because you got one guy over here and there's more space to operate. And so that's just something to know, especially if you're the point guard. You have to redirect them and say, no, we got to go this way. It's a little bit lighter over here. You can't run towards the heavy side, right? But now they run it over here and there's virtually no space. He doesn't open up fast enough. He's just floating around, popping, and no idea what he's thinking. Like, this is a pick and a roll. This is so open, and you just got to understand that as a big. Like, watching this is super frustrated, and I know they're young players, but these things are just so basic that these weren't, huge mistakes, not too long ago. Like, they weren't playing basketball with this low of an IQ like 10 years ago. It just wasn't happening. But now it seems like this is just the norm, and people watch it and like this is supposed to be high level college basketball, but it's just not. And you're doing cone work shots. Like, this is why I always say cone work shots are not sustainable. It will not win you games. You were up 14, now you're only up 4, and you go into a cone work all because you ran the pick and roll to the wrong side and your big didn't roll. Like, fundamental mistakes, create bad habits. And so what Kansas has done well all night is their pick and roll is aimed to get downhill. Like, that's the entire point of running action. Any action you take is either to get out for an open shot or is to get downhill somewhere, right? And so even though they missed the first two screens, like he gets a solid one right here, what's he do? Downhill. What's the big do? Downhill. Like, that's the entire goal. What do? They keep their spacing. They're out of the way. It results in 2 points. Like, it's that simple when you just understand the principles of the actions that you're taking. And you can take advantage of it and try to score. And then Kentucky comes back and they're doing cone work, right? Which resulted in an open shot. But it's like, what's the goal here? Like, you still got to run through principles no matter how skilled you are. Principles is all there is. There's nothing else. So you can do cone work all you want, but that shit's getting locked up in a D1 level unless you are just insanely special. And even then, you have to understand, like, some of the best players to come out of college know how to play in a flow and know how to play off basic principles and score out of that. Like, you need that to be successful. There's no way around it. I don't give a fuck, number one player in the country. Like, eventually you find out that's the answer. There's another situation, right? Principles. And I don't want to make this like a DJ Wagner like film because he seems to be struggling a lot in this game. I haven't watched him recently, but like just simple stuff like this, like you got to get out of the cone work mindset, like the ISO mindset, and realize what's happening. Two people are on you. So draw them out or draw them away like you did right here and make this pass. Like, you have to make this pass. It's not a debate because then it forces him to help. And then you got a guy sneaking on the baseline right here. He'll catch it. He'll help over. Little dump pass. Easy too. But then he forces his way around the big, goes into a, 10-foot left-hand floater. Like, these are the things that the reason people get to college and they struggle sometimes, or the people that, oh, he was good in high school, and then they get the D1 offer, and then you're wondering what happened to them. Like, it's things like this that stop them from playing a lot more minutes. I think DJ Wagner just has the luxury of being the number one player in the country. Like, and so he gets a chance to, work through these things and learn because he's so dynamic and has so much talent. And but like, these are the things that will stop him from playing well at the next level. Like, if he doesn't become an NBA player, I won't be surprised, and it'll be because of things like this. Like, now I think he makes it just because, I feel like a lot of teams think they can teach this kind of stuff to just a prospect or whatever. But, if you want to know why the NBA is diluted, it's because they take guys like this, they don't teach them what they need to know, and then, they just hope it pans out and they try to force it and keep him in the game. Now he's getting traded around, now he's coming off the bench, and instead, he should be learning this at a high school level. If I'm being honest, this is what you learn at a high school level. Two people are on you, somebody's open. It's so basic, and you kind of just gotta let the game flow and let it come to you and not force action. But it's so hard for some of these kids because they've been getting buckets for so long and been so effective that it's like, damn, the defense ratcheted up. And now, I'm trying to do what I'm used to doing and it's not working. And so stuff like that, it results in a fast break, and they run down court. Now they got an and one. Now they're up two going to the line. And they were just down by what? 14, 13, whatever. Like, this fundamental stuff, man, it's super, super real. That's why I make these videos, why I make my TikToks. That's why I post every NBA player talking about fundamentals all the time on my Instagram. I don't do that stuff by accident. I'm doing it because the game is getting watered down and Europe is going to take over. And I commented on somebody's post earlier. I was like, if Europe was as confident and as arrogant as American basketball players, they would beat the mess out of us in basketball. And it wouldn't be close. It really wouldn't be close. So I think the American basketball system has some work to do because it's falling apart right before our eyes, and I don't think we're paying attention to it. Now, Kansas has had some really good execution in this game, especially in the second half. Like right here, this is just good principles. And one thing you got to know when you run a pick and roll, if your big man is open and you know that they might get position, make the first pass to someone else that'll be able to make the pass that, will lead to a point or an attempt. And so right here, the point guard is like, okay, I got the roller down here. He recognizes this guy helps over. You got to lift when that happens. If the pick and roll is going away from you, you move up. He does that. Here comes the skip pass. Now when he catches it, he knows that the ball is over here and he can just turn and get position, right? And so being smart enough to do that as the point guard, it's like, okay, I'm going to pass it to him so he can make the pass, is just as effective as making the pass yourself. And just realize what scenario you're in and set your teammates up to do things the right way. There it is, perfect position. And when you post up, like it's pretty much a box out. That's what I always say. So if you're trying to get post position and you realize you can, especially in the middle of the paint, just box them out. It's literally the same. Catch it. Don't hesitate, especially if you're tall. Keep it up. Foul. Got to be aware, right? You try to play this pass. Once the pass is out of his hands, you can't just chill and think nothing's about to happen to you. You got to hurry up and get position because this dude is sitting right here. And so the thing about defense is once you know what the offense is supposed to do, you'll know how to stop it better, right? And so me, in my mind, I know that the big man is supposed to seal me right here because he got the position that he wanted. So like that's his job. The ball's going to this side. I'm caught on the other side. His job is to seal. So if I know that as a defender, I'm not gonna let him do that, right? And so you can't fall asleep. Like he should have already been fighting his way over here as the ball is in the air, but he waited too long and he got caught by surprise. Like watch it. Like he's just chilling after right here. He's hanging out. He's not even rushed to get over there. And he's like, oh shit, I'm sealed. It's too late. You can't just sit behind and push. That's gonna be a foul. And so now Kentucky comes down and they're running frivolous action again. Like right here, that screen, that should have been a play to the middle, right? But he just pops out for absolutely no reason. And when someone's trailing you, you got to curl. And so now he catches it out here, fake square up, frivolous action. Screen right here, frivolous action. Here's the screen right here. Again, on the trailer, he should curl, right? So you got to read every single screen that you get. You can't just use screens just because it feels like the thing to do and you're just like, okay, I'm gonna just use the screen for no reason. Like actually play the game and play basketball. Like that's what these actions are meant for, you know? And so always on the trail, like just curl in, he could throw a little bounce. Now you got an advantage. He has to stop you. You got a roller right here. It's like a pick and roll off ball. Like make that happen, but he pops out, nothing happens. Now they're stuck up here. Bad action, right? Here comes the handoff, frivolous action. They didn't even try to make it work. Right? Now they get it over here. He just drives. Nothing. Like this is what happens, when you're young and you're not taught that everything matters, and you're just, you go to your trainer, you're doing cone work, and you're not taught how to move or how to read, or they never show you film or anything like that. This is what it starts to look like at the high level, and we're seeing the beginning stages of the repercussions of that. I'm telling you, this is the beginning stages. Like this problem is not going away. And so if you're a young basketball player and you're in my academy, I really appreciate you. But hear what I'm saying. If you want to stand out, be the smartest player on the floor. It's the fastest way. Be the most aware, know what situation you're in, know how to use a screen, make everything a threat. Like that is the beginning of you being good. That's not what you learn after the skill. That should be the first thing you learn. Then you get the skills that you need to take advantage of the situations you're reading. Now, on the other hand, Kansas is doing their movement so well, and that's why they've came back in this game. Like they use this action with purpose, downhill, right? And what did I say earlier about the drive from the wing? It works well with the baseline, right? So his guy helps over super hard. He gets in a position to where his teammate can see him, and he runs right into open space. Easy 2 points. And so if that's you offensively with the ball, know that your teammate is supposed to be there. So if you do this, you drive there and your teammate's not in the right spot, tell him on the next one. Be like, yo, if I go down, if I drive from the wing and I get towards the baseline, like just go to this spot. I'm gonna pass it to you if you're open. And if you're this guy, you should know that's what you got to do. Like once you see your teammate driving towards the lane, you got to figure out where should I be, right? Compare the open spaces. Like, okay, there's open space here. Where's the defense? Okay, my defender's over here. Where's your teammate? Okay, he's right here. Like this is kind of where I got to be, right? This is my job to be an outlet for him. Easy 2 points. Kentucky coming down court again, right? And the same offensive issues. Like this is gonna beat them at the end of the game, right? And so what happens here is he's just posting up. There's no cutters. There's no back screens. There's no down screens. Like something has to shake. And so if you're on the team, I'm gonna tell you what to do in these situations. If your team is just standing there on bullshit, be the one to spark the movement. Like you can go set a screen. You don't gotta call for one. Like make something happen. So if I'm this guy or if I'm top of the key, like I'm gonna cut through at least to make him respect the semi. There's gonna be some type of movement. I might, if I'm him, I might move down there, occupy this guy or something. Like something has to happen. But realize like you can't miss this read, right? He's not looking. He turned his head, cut. Turned his head, cut. Or space for him, right? And so they throw it over here. They get it up top. Same situation, right? About to do some cone work. They just swing it. And then it started to work right here. Like this was good, right? Like at least if you have the ball and nothing's happening, make an attack and make somebody dig or make somebody help, like to create something for your teammates. And so he does a little bit and it worked. Like right here, I think he was just overcommitted. And so the pass goes right there. And instead of running straight out as a defender, you want to run just kind of in front of their lane. So here, I know he's been shooting a lot, but you want to kind of get in the space and make him bring it back the other way, right? But he gets beat off the dribble. Again, here's that angle, that wing drive, corner movement. He gets it right here, and I think the pass was just a little off for him to go up, which he still probably should have. Right here, that can't be a hesitation. Like this has to be shot ready, right? And so as an offensive player, like, and this is what a lot of young players do. They just float around. Like so, he passes the ball and watch him floating, float, float. He has no idea that the ball might come to him. Like once you anticipate he might not shoot this, spot up time. Like if there's any inclination, even if you think he's gonna shoot it, like be semi spot up ready because now he catches it. He's not about to shoot that. Like that should have just been a straight up shot, but he runs in for a tough floater, right? And these are the basics that players got to learn. Like you got to be able to shoot that kick out if you're a guard. So here's more great execution by Kansas. Like it's just turned into an execution game, right? And so they start to get downhill. This guy's not paying attention, just ball watching. If your guy's ball watching, start moving. Figure out where your teammate is. Where's the space? Where's he need me to be so I can get this ball? Right here, right? Baseline, baseline. That's the space. He catches it because his teammate's not paying attention. Easiest 2 points. Just by being smart and knowing, being aware of where he's supposed to be and when. Like those are the type of things that will take you to the next level. So in a fast break situation, your read happens pretty much before, and this is semi-fast break. Like semi-fast break is just the defense isn't 100% set up, and everyone's moving backcourt at the same time, right? And so right here, his read is happening from here. This is where you have to start to read it. And your reading mind should always be on, obviously, but I'm just telling you when he starts to pay attention. Right here, what does he recognize? If you just look down court, try to think about what is he seeing. What he's seeing is empty space. It's all about space on offense. Where is empty space? Off ball, on ball, it doesn't matter. Right, so he realizes empty space over here. He realizes this guy's not in real help position. And so what's he do? He fakes as if he's going to go this way off the screen, which you never want to go to the heavy side, 1-2, right? He recognizes that. Bam. Goes off, changes his speed, and starts to get downhill, right? No help, easy bucket. That's all from early recognition of just spacing, knowing what the defense is doing, knowing where your teammates are at, what opportunities are available. Like all this room, he's going to set him up, start a little slow, then hit him with a speed burst, and he's gone straight downhill. So defensively, you don't want to put yourself out of position unnecessarily, right? And if you are, you got to communicate to your teammates what you're doing. So right here in this situation, the defender kind of gets caught up on this screen, right? And Rob Dillingham's right here. His guy's about to exit. So if he's going to help, he has to yell at him to cover for him. Like, it can't be a question. And so you got to be like, you got to either say, I got you, like switch over, or something. Because I think he just gambled. I don't know if he was going to stay in front. I don't know what he was lunging at. But just know if you're actually going to switch in this situation, you got to, for one, tell your teammate, like, yo, I got you, switch, but tell him where to switch to by pointing. Like, I got you, and then switch and point this direction so he knows that you're going to cover and he can cover you. Like, that's the simplest way. But now he got out of position. He made this man decide, and then the guy hits another three. Like, so now he has to make a decision because he didn't communicate to his teammate that the switch was about to happen. And so he's like, am I going to take the ball? I'm going to go over there. He fakes him out. Wide open jump shot. Kansas has a senior point guard. Like, this dude hitting all these threes, senior. Right? So he's calm and he's just looking for the best opportunity. And so they go under the screen. He's hit a few of these already. Like, why not? Hits another one. Now, this is where time and score gets super, super crucial. And a lot of young players mess this up if they're not taught right. And habits come out in these situations. So Kentucky comes down, right? And they're supposed to be running some action. He uses the screen, but he gets the switch and then takes a tough shot. Like, these shots are not sustainable if you're trying to win basketball games. Like a step back on a switch. I mean, I get the talent, but you got to have an understanding of what you're trying to accomplish. Like, up to, these aren't the type of shots that you want to shoot, especially if the offense hasn't been rolling that well. Like, that's just something you got to know. So now you got tie game, 2.5 minutes left, right? And another young player mistake, right? You're trying to do cone work, and there's 2 minutes left in the game. Like, you can't have these one-on-one possessions. Like, I get trying it earlier in the game, but in this is about execution to win the game. Like, there's no good teams that win the championship without executing down the stretch, right? And this is just a freshman thing. Like, I get it. You know, you're dynamic, you're scoring a lot earlier, but that's not how you're gonna win, especially if your teammate has position on a mismatch. I don't even know if that's a mismatch, but he has pretty solid position. Throw it in there, you know, maybe get some movement, let him kick it back out for a way easier shot. But these are not sustainable. And so Kansas went up two, they got fouled, but now look, another situation. Turning it into cone work, like, that's not gonna win you games in a close game. And so what should have happened? He should have used this screen to his advantage, right? Like, always use the action to your advantage. And so the pop out happens. He should have been shot ready. That's a shot. Like, for a professional player, this is a shot for sure. If he's not going to shoot this, one dribble pull up, right? Or make him, you know, play defense and let him open up into some space. You can drop a pass right here, you know, make him come over, easy swing, something, right? And that's just, these are the habits throughout the game that break you down, right? So when I'm pointing it out in the first half and being like, you can't win off cone work, this is why it matters. It's not that I don't want them to do shit, or I don't want them to get off or get into their bag and all this other shit. It's like this shit chips away at wins against real teams. This is just how it works. So now here's their possession down three, right? And so they throw it into the post and then they start a little bit of movement, right? And that's not a bad shot. I'm not mad at that. Like, I think that's better than what they had been getting before, and he's hit a couple of those, you know, so I'll live with that possession. And so now let's see what Kansas does. In reality, they should wait till about 15, 10-ish, and then run their pick and roll like they've been dominating all night, get downhill. We'll see what they do. And in these situations, as a point guard, you just got to occupy time and be able to handle the pressure until your team can get set. What Bill Self decides to do, they get it in, yep, pick and roll downhill, just like I figured. This has been their best play all night. Good kick out, good patience. You got to know time and score, right? You're throwing the ball in with 13 seconds. If you get a kick out, it has to go up. Like that has to be the memo. That's what you got to know, all right? If action starts happening, everybody gets stuck, they kick it out, got to be a shot, like no question. Because if you pass it up, you're not going to get anything better. And so he gets downhill, makes a kick out right here. There can't be any hesitation in that. There's 5 seconds on the shot clock. You just pull it. You know you're supposed to shoot that, all right? And so understanding time and score, keeps you from desperation shots. In this play, their offensive habits started to catch up to them, right? Now they're stagnant and they're stuck, and they haven't run any real action pretty much all game, and they end up in a bad shot right there. And so watch it, right? They come down court right here, not a real screen, just frivolous action. Now this was a solid play. He goes over, he gets his screen. Right there, you got to be shot ready. If not, he has to be in this area ready for this pass. And remember when I said before, when they were doing that pick and roll, and I'm like, your big man has to open into some space. You can't just be out here floating frivolously. This is why I say it, because in moments like this is when your habits come out. This is when it matters. And this is when you win or lose games. Like, his big man should be right here, but he's not. For some reason, he skips it wide across the court. I don't know why. He just did. Right? But now, look. Now they're kind of stagnant. They're just standing around, no cuts, no nothing. So they go into a handoff. Right? What's wrong with this handoff? It's too far out, and it's too contested. And so that's what they get. Kansas gets the ball, and it looks like they're about to lose this game.